All right, well, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining our session today, Modernizing Service Excellence Through Customer Experience Innovation. My name is Sandeep Rao, and I've spent the last 6 years at AWS bringing voice artificial intelligence solutions to market, first with Alexa, and now with Amazon Connect, our contact center as a service solution. Today, I'll be joined with a couple of folks from Commonwealth Financial Network. Over here on the left, Kyle Faxon and Zara Shargi. We're going to spend today's panel diving deep on Commonwealth Financial Network's journey to deliver high-quality outcomes using Amazon Connect. Before we do that, and before we invite them to the stage, I just want to say a few things about what Amazon Connect is, and then we'll start with our panel. First, we're starting with the business problem. Customer expectations are higher than ever. This is some data that we have from Menergy, which says that 2 years ago, customers would only have 3 negative experiences before they would churn from a company. And that's only gotten more. So last year, customers would only have 2 negative experiences before they would churn from a company. Now, we all know what good customer service or negative customer service looks like, but what does good customer service really mean? For us, it means 3 things. The first thing is continuity. Does an organization understand every single touch point I've had with them, from awareness to purchase to customer service, all the way through potentially churn? Second, can they respond to my issues quickly? Responsiveness and adaptability. Maybe I started as someone who prefers the voice channel, but now I want customer service through the chat channel. And the third thing is personalization. I'm sure all of us had the experience last year during the election when we received a text message telling us to vote for a particular candidate, but it was in someone else's name. Maybe it was in a child's name, maybe it was in a partner's name. And you were unlikely to take action because of that. Well, we want to make sure that when companies reach out to customers, they are likely to take action. So 3 things: continuity, responsiveness, and personalization. And that's where Amazon Connect comes in. AWS's contact center as a service solution, really built for the AI era. This is one seamless application, one experience for all the stakeholders in the contact center, including end customers, agents, and supervisors. And it's all built on the same foundation of capabilities. Any channel of preference that a customer has, unified routing to make sure that the connection is right the first time, automation to get rid of those manual processes, and finally analytics so you can get a full view of the contact center's health. We're trying to deliver these 4 outcomes on the bottom of the slide: customer-centric experiences, AI-powered innovation, future-ready agility, and finally, enterprise-grade trust built on the security and reliability of AWS. All right, that's enough about Amazon Connect. I'd like to welcome to the stage Kyle and Zara.
Thank you, Sandeep, for having us here.
Absolutely.
Yes, pleasure to be here today.
All right, well, we can start out first. Can you briefly introduce yourselves to the audience?
Sure, I'm Zara Shargi. I'm a manager at Commonwealth's Financial Networks on technology support, leading contact center operations and digital transformation, implementing new technologies to improve service delivery, customer satisfaction, and ensuring that solutions are aligning with the developing business goals.
My name is Kyle Faxon. I'm also a manager with Commonwealth Technology. My primary focus is hiring, strategic innovation, and technological enhancements. So needless to say, we make a pretty good team. Excellent,
thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about Commonwealth Financial Network and perhaps your customer service philosophy?
Yeah, I'd love to. So a brief history and overview. Commonwealth Financial Network was founded in 1979. At that point, we were a small operation based out of Waltham, Massachusetts. Since then, we've expanded to a total of 3 locations. We started our San Diego branch in 2000, and then earlier this year, I was honored to be able to help open the doors of our 3rd site, which is outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. We provide basically end-to-end support for financial advisors, independent financial advisors, and overall we do kind of front-to-back cohesive support of everything that goes into their business. And our model is really built upon indispensability, white glove customer service. And what I mean by that is our yearly goal is 94.5% customer satisfaction. J.D. Power Awards has been offered in the financial sector 11 times, and we have been ranked first all 11 years. So we take customer service very seriously. It is the core and the foundation of our business model and what drives everything that we do.
Amazing, thank you. So let's switch gears a little bit. How do you measure success in customer service, and what business metrics drive the strategy for your customer experience?
I think our biggest asset is our advisor feedback, and by that I mean we take direct feedback from our advisors, and the team that is responsible for that feedback acts on it quickly, and we value every single feedback that we get, and we measure with quality, never with quantity, and ensuring we have the same accurate answer every time. This is very important for us because quality, again, as I mentioned, is very, very important, and that's how we measure our advisor satisfaction, by their direct feedback to us.
Got it. And they give you this feedback how? Using?
They can email the CEO directly, they can email anyone they know in the company, or they can use our feedback tool. And it's actually, it's not just a feedback tool there, it's actually used often, and you'll be surprised how many emails we get that.
And tell us again, how do you use that information to impact the business itself?
So basically, if it's a valid, they're all valid, but if it's something that we can act quickly on, we would definitely take action. And if it's something that needs, some more time, we would definitely get back to them, explain the process and how we will get there, because we all want to improve, so why not use that feedback, right?
Absolutely.
And every single feedback is engaged with directly, whether that's via email or phone call. We don't have a single piece of feedback that is sent into us that isn't engaged with by one of the employees within our company. And so there's that relationship and that dynamic and a rapport that is established with all of our advisors, because they know that when they reach out, they will hear back.
Probably explains why you've gotten an award 11 years straight for your customer service.
I think it helps.
Yeah.
Yes, it's only been offered 11 times, and we've earned every single one of them.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what challenges did you have with your contact center technology previously? I think it was an on-premise system, right?
Yeah, so we have been on this journey within our technology for quite some time. But I started with the company almost 11 years ago, and it wasn't until the last 18 months that we were really evolving our systems. And as you can see here, there were a few different components that really compounded that struggle. We had a ton of fragmented legacy systems, and what I mean by that is they were all disparate. They didn't have any connectivity, there was no cohesion, there was no way to consolidate and aggregate any meaningful data from any of the platforms that we were leveraging. And so we were chasing these tiny little data points to try and create a narrative, as opposed to having data that could tell us a story that we could then take action on. For example, someone gives us a call and they have a question about their password. We load up a system that's separate from our ticketing system to verify their identity and information. We then start a separate software to connect with their computer and troubleshoot an aspect of what they might be trying to get into. Then us on the management side, let's say that we have some questions about the call and we want to perform some sort of a review. We would go to yet another disconnected system to pull the call logs and review those. No way to filter that out other than keywords and or timestamps. I think you all get the picture. It was extremely painful and it was extremely time consuming, and there was very little benefit. And so that was the environment that we had struggled through for, again, years, because it was just the landscape that we were stuck in.
And if I may add to that, there's no way that you can, quality is very important to us. There's no way you can, check every single call, right? So you randomly take your calls, you hope that you get the right one that you need to be addressing, or you would listen to as many as you can, right? So that limited visibility is really something that we had to address if we wanted to stay on top of the game.
Yeah, I can see how those types of manual processes would build up, and in order to check every call, you'd have to hire how many more people to go and do something like that?
I don't even know if it's ever possible.
Yeah, it's not possible, exactly. So when you were thinking about what was next for your contact center, especially around technology, you want to future-proof that technology, what kinds of capabilities were you looking at as being sort of in line with your long-term vision?
So, Amazon Connect is actually very helpful to us, right? And that's why I like to talk about it. It's very scalable, right? We can actually, in no time, it's web-based, it's cloud-based, it's easy to let the agents adopt to it, right? Very minimum training, minimum infrastructure. So definitely very scalable to us. That is important to us, right? Especially in the fast-growing industry. The other thing is the IVR, right? It sounds simple, but it actually saves a lot of time for our advisors, for our agents, and for our supervisors to, ensure that basically the skill-based routing is done, right? Our customers don't have to wait in the wrong queue for, I don't know how long it can happen, right? Right now they get directly to our agents to the right queue, or at least we have seen a lot of improvement on that side. And, the agent can help them. It's very effective. And then the other thing is the real-time summarization, that we are actually benefiting a lot from it. Not only the agents can use those real-time summarization in their ticket notes, with integrations, it can even be populated on the ticket automatically, but also our supervisors can read the summary before spending that time to go through the whole conversation to see if this call was something that they needed to check, or was it worth it? Does it have that much value, right? They can definitely go through more calls with the summary. And it actually does a great job. I want to say that I've checked it, I've got the feedback from my agents, and they're very, very proud of it.
Awesome. I think you're referring to the generative AI summaries that are available in Amazon Connect, making it much easier than having to check every single contact by yourself.
Exactly. Thank you.
There's a way to separate and call out both the situations where we need to provide some coaching or mentorship, and the situations that are exemplary, that we can call out as something that they did exceptionally well. So it really cuts out all of that noise in between. We can emphasize exactly what we need to do better and exactly what they're doing phenomenally well.
Which brings me to the evaluation part. Not only you can have evaluations that you implement for every single call and only check the ones that you like to encourage the agent, but also the ones that are not meeting your minimum standards, and it helps the supervisor to have effective coaching with the agent, right? This is the part that I want you to improve. This is the example, right? So the evaluations has helped us a lot.
Great. Sure, something that everyone can sort of relate to here. So the next question I have is really about the future. You guys have done a lot already on your own with Amazon Connect. What does the future look like for you guys? What are the next set of capabilities you're looking at as you're thinking about the rest of your contact center?
Yeah, so it's definitely a question that we've been asking ourselves. So we're still within this journey of implementing and integrating the various capacities. And I think that Amazon Q is the next step that really has a lot of benefit for us. This idea that we can tie this tool into our existing knowledge base, and then as the agents are making phone calls, they're troubleshooting issues, they can have this on-demand and real-time update for what the context is, what the best resource in our database would be for their assistance, and then they can click on it and open it up right there in the side pane to walk through the steps as they're engaging with the call. There's no more splitting their focus between trying to manage this engagement with the end user and then hopping over into the knowledge base to do a keyword search, to scroll through the list of potentials and then try and select the right one. It is compiled and processed and delivered right there to them. And I think that that is the next facet that will really enhance what we're doing and streamline the process to make our agents' jobs easier.
Providing accurate answer every time, which is very important.
Do you think that every single agent can benefit from a generative AI assistant?
Absolutely. I think that even our most competent technician can use some reassurance, can use some reminders. You know, I think that if nothing else, this event demonstrates that technology is always changing. And I think that a baseline need is to ensure that our data and our reference points are updated accordingly. And just because you've done something 20 times doesn't mean that we haven't updated something or had a change within the environment that is worth calling out. And I think that having that presented and available alongside your work makes it that much easier for the agent to say, oh, let me double check this, or let me make sure that what I've done in the past is accurate, because they're not digging it up. They're not trying to make a decision in the moment. Can I afford to jeopardize the amount of time spent to look this up versus having something become a negative sentiment, or to have this caller become frustrated because the information isn't where I thought it was, or isn't presented in a way that I could quickly digest and then present.
It gives them confidence, it gives them more control, and it gives them job satisfaction, which helps with their retention.
Absolutely. Great, so we've talked about the past, we've talked about the future. Maybe you guys can just sum up for the audience, maybe some lessons learned or some takeaways about your transformation.
Before that, I want to say that in the future, near future, we are actually going to use the workforce management with Amazon Connect.
Oh, right.
And then the integration with the ServiceNow, which is something that I'm excited about. And the workforce management helps us with the capacity planning and knowing what's the staffing need in the future as we are growing. And the ServiceNow integration will allow our agents to actually have everything in one place, right? The Amazon Connect will be, Amazon Connect ticketing system, everything will be in one place. And not only it helps our agents, it also helps our supervisors, right? The reporting, everything will be in one place, and it's so much easier to look for the call and the ticket and compare in one platform rather than in, I don't know, multiple ones that we were using. But yes, and if I want to say something that I hope it's helpful to others, is definitely if you're implementing this, go department by department. It's much easier. At least that's how we benefited from it. And then the consistency of the names is very important with every feature or any department that you're having as part of it. My main point is that always keep scalability in mind, because you know, your call flows, your evaluations, your naming schemes, all of that, you have to think long term, right? And with scalability in mind, you will do it right from the very beginning. And then dream big. You know, it's there were times that we thought like something is not possible. The example was we have a team of so basically, our service center is using our Salesforce, and we are using ServiceNow, right? And Amazon Connect told us, like, you know, with Amazon Connect features, there's only one of them that could, you know, be with Amazon Q, right? And when we said, like, we want both to be available to us, they actually worked with us and they implemented that for us. So dream big, just think what's the best way that your contact center can operate, and just ask for it. The worst that can happen is that this is not possible, right? But restructure if needed. You know, everything is changing, so why not our processes if need to? And I think that really helped us.
How many folks in here are at a financial services company? Great, that makes sense why you'd be here. Are there any specific lessons that you guys would say for financial services companies in particular and their transformation journey in customer service?
I want to re-emphasize what Zara said in terms of keeping scalability in mind. We ended up completely transforming the way that our knowledge base is structured in order to better function with the tools. That led to us reevaluating how we classify our tickets and how we structure the foundation of our data and how we can classify it. And I use that word intentionally because if you start talking about categorization or anything else, then you're delving into very murky water because that's actually components that go into that. But suffice to say, this idea of what are we doing now? What do we want to do in the future? How can we build this sustainability? That really was the driving factor that created a lot of unanticipated and extremely beneficial transformation across every aspect of what we do.
Excellent. That was most of the prepared questions. I do have one bonus question. We went to dinner last night, and you did mention that there was one book that really sort of encapsulates your customer service, let's call it, quality. Can you guys tell me a little bit about that book you mentioned and what you got from it?
It's Unreasonable Hospitality.
What was it?
Unreasonable Hospitality.
Okay, what is that book?
Pronouncing correct. Kyle, you want to jump into it?
Yes, so now I'm not going to remember the name of the author off the top of my head, Will something. He was in charge of a restaurant in New York, and his goal was to be the best. And it was a very unique sort of endeavor because there are so many renowned restaurants, all within this same small space, and he wanted to know what would set them apart. You know, everyone has great food, everyone has, great atmosphere, but the service, this idea of being unreasonable in how they engage and how they provide to every single person who comes into their doors. One of the greatest examples that really stood out as I was reading this book was there was a family that came in and they were visiting from out of town and they had been trying to get a teddy bear and the store was closed. And so they sent one of their employees off to a different store in a different part of town to purchase a teddy bear and bring it back and give it to their kid. There was another example where it had been snowing and they brought them sleds and took them to Central Park so that they could sled because they'd never seen snow before. Just outrageous, outlandish ideas that really cater towards delighting people and engaging them in a very human way. And I think that at its core, that is very much in line with what we try and do with every engagement. We have people who refer to themselves as uncles of our team, and they talk with us like we're part of the family. And that is something that you can't fake. You can't phone that in. You can't fabricate that. It has to be genuine effort and genuine care. It has to be unreasonable. And I think that book was a phenomenal example and a great series of insights into how you can embrace that and how you can think creatively about engagement and drive that forward into whatever you're trying to create within your industry.
And you mentioned before that at the core, you're still a relationship-based business. So we are hopeful that this technology allows you to remove distractions from the agent experience and allow your agents to focus more on the customer in the end.
Absolutely. Zara has heard me say for years, I want to reduce the noise. How do we cut down on all of the things that are happening that we don't need to focus on? And working towards this single pane dashboard, this one interactive workspace where our agents can not have to worry about splitting their effort and their focus and their time into all of these segmented components and instead dedicate their efforts into this engagement, this relationship, and leverage the technology to propel their momentum. Honestly, it's a dream come true. We've been trying to do this for years, and it is finally happening.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else you guys would like to add before we move on to a quick demonstration?
I think maybe when we see the demo, we can add in some comments.
Perfect. Well, thank you both very much. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to our partnership going forward.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Yep. Okay, we're going to spend maybe just 5 to 7 minutes on a demonstration. Can I switch modes to the laptop? Yep. Awesome. So let me just maximize this. All right, that looks like the furthest I can go on that. Okay, great. So I'm just going to spend 5 to 7 minutes showing you the Amazon Connect experience. I think the folks here are going to potentially interject on capabilities that are driving outcomes for them. But I'll just get started. In this fictional scenario, we're talking about a company, any company. It's our favorite company at Amazon Connect. And there are 3 primary stakeholders. We have the customer, Nikki, who is purchasing a travel online and was rejected because her credit card did not have a high enough limit. We have John, who is an agent. This is actually his first day at any company, and he came from another bank. At that bank, he was frustrated by the lack of tools and processes, essentially by the tech that was offered. Another thing about John, he's offered a monthly bonus for any credit card signups or upsells he's able to get from end customers. And then the third stakeholder, and we talked about this at the beginning with Amazon Connect and all the stakeholders we have, is the supervisor. I believe it's Diego, but I can't quite see his name right now. He's a tenured supervisor. He oversees thousands of daily interactions, and he's responsible for delivering superior customer service. He also must take action if he sees something happening with an agent. So in a second here, our video is going to move forward, and we're going to start the interaction. OK, so this is our customer. She has received a notification that a transaction has been declined. She has insufficient credit available. So she's going to open up the app for any company in a moment here. Here we go. And she's going to begin a customer service chat or a customer service interaction with the system, the virtual agent. And the virtual agent, it has all of her history, right? We talked about continuity. It has all of her touch points, and it probably knows she's calling in about one of these 3 things: an updated due date, a declined transaction, or something else. So in a second here, she's going to click decline transaction, and we're going to move forward with this. I hope soon. Awesome. So she clicked decline transaction, and now our virtual assistant is coming into play. The virtual assistant is using the information provided by the customer, information we have stored, as well as information we have in knowledge content, to provide information that the credit limit is $5,000, and she has exceeded the credit limit. It asks her, would you like to increase the credit limit? To which she says yes. Before we can do that, and by we I mean the virtual assistant, it needs to confirm her identity. It sends her a one-time password. She's able to submit that, and then it confirms her identity, and it increases the credit limit. Great. We talked earlier about how John is incentivized by upselling, and the system knows this, and it says, hey, we have a travel rewards credit card. Would you like to talk to an agent? She says, sure. Let's talk to an agent. Let's switch this from a virtual assistant to an actual agent interaction. OK, so now we're switching to an agent interaction. That was an app. This is now the agent desktop. This is the Amazon Connect agent desktop. On the left-hand side, you have the contact control panel. In the middle is where the agents do work. And on the right-hand side, these guys have talked about it, and we'll probably mention it in a second, is the virtual assistant, the generative AI assistant that's available for all agents. So John is going to accept the chat. And he has personal information about the customer in the middle here. He has some details as well as all of their case history. In this example, a case is automatically created. You'll see this in a second. A case is automatically created on the right-hand side here for an upsell opportunity. Nothing John has to do yet, right? He has information available. A case is automatically created. And now he can start actually helping the customer. So our system, our generative AI assistant, is always listening. It knows that the customer wants to find out more about the travel rewards credit card, and the agent can actually click on the intent that is surfaced to the agent to get a recommendation on what they should do next. So he clicks on the intent, and now they have a recommendation on some information that he can provide to the agent, our travel rewards credit card, some information about it that he copies and pastes. I'm not sure if you guys had anything to say or wanted to interject there.
Just that even if the AI is not it's listening, but maybe they're saying something that the agent still has questions in their mind to be proactive about the second question, they can actually type their question there and get the assistant instead of just waiting for the Amazon queue to suggest proper solutions.
Yeah, that's right. So the system is listening, and I think that's a real differentiator for our generative AI system. It's always listening. But if we're not picking up the intent properly, or if the agent has something else they want to say, they can always type in a question like they did here and get a response. Of course, their source information is always available if the agent wants to dive in a bit deeper and understand exactly what the source knowledge article says. Awesome. So the customer says, great, let's upgrade to the travel rewards credit card. And the agent says, sure, let me see what's next. And I really want to highlight this. We're now moving from a system of information to a system of action. You can add action buttons to your recommendation so that instead of an agent having to do this in a third-party system or freewheeling, you can actually click on that button and it'll open up a guide in the middle of the screen. This is called a step-by-step guide. And with this guide, it can walk them through the exact steps they need to actually complete this process. And this just helps with adherence, right? So we're moving from a recommendation to a system of action, and now we're adhering to actually getting this travel rewards credit card updated. So we're just completing the steps in this travel rewards credit card, and it's been successfully updated. Okay, awesome. Now, how many people here have other tools that sit outside of their main desktop that agents have to access? Almost everybody, right? So in our world, we call these third-party applications, and we get a lot of questions, or a lot of people want to bring in non-first-party applications or third-party web apps into our system. And what's great is, I think about a year and a half ago, we launched the ability to bring a third-party web app into this desktop, and it'll sit on the top as sort of like a separate tab. And we're going to open up a third-party app in just a moment. Oh, here it is. OK. So this is a third-party app. This is not our native app. This is a web app that the customer has built. And they have added it as a tab inside the workspace, again, with this idea of having one single desktop that everybody can have, one single desktop with all the information you need. So they're using this third-party app. They're going through a workflow in this third-party app, completely unrelated to what's going on the rest of the contact. Or you can connect it using some data in between the two. And then they're completing that transaction. OK, awesome. So this part of the experience is over. We're moving on from the agent and the end customer. And we're now moving to the supervisor, Diego. So Diego can look at the analytics in the Amazon Connect platform. And he can see a one-stop shop of the health of the contact center in that specific day. The supervisor can also accept tasks that are given to them. So here's an example of a task. It tells them that, hey, there was a problem with one of your contacts. One of your agent evaluation forms had a risk on compliance. So Diego says, OK, great. We need to go take action. Let's go find out a little bit more about that particular contact. So now we're going to dive into a specific contact in a second here. So this is the contact trace record. This is diving into a specific contact to figure out what's happened. We can see a few things in this contact trace record. First, we can see the screen recording, so what exactly happened in the actual interaction. We can see a transcript of everything that happened during the interaction. And we even have these smiley faces and these neutral faces on the right-hand side to indicate the sentiment of the call itself. On the top here, and I think Zara mentioned this, here is a summary of everything that happened in the conversation. It's just 2 lines, 1 line, but this is sort of the summary I think you were referring to earlier.
Yes.
Awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to move from just the contact to an actual evaluation form. So this evaluation form was pre-filled out by AI. You'll see some questions here, and you'll see on the first question here, did the agent properly greet the customer? In this example, AI looked at the entire conversation, and it determined, hey, no, the agent did not greet the customer. But we want to learn a little bit more, so we're going to ask AI, tell us more about this. They'll actually pull out the specific statement where they did not greet the customer and the timestamp if you want to go back into the conversation and see that portion of the agent evaluation. I think in this case, the supervisor agrees with the agent or agrees with the AI, and they finish the evaluation and move on.
I can add something to that evaluation. So when you're creating the evaluation, you have the option to say, I want the generative AI, or they call it this Ask AI, to look into the call and decide on an answer. You also have a option to categorize, like if it's a certain word that is missed, or I will give you a good example. We ask our agents to ask, is there any other question? Is there anything else I can help you at the end of every call, even if they kept asking and there was some other questions that the customer had. And the generative AI would not be able to say that they asked that question at the end of the call. So that's where you manually want to say, did they ask this question at the last 2 minutes of the call? That's where you categorize it, and you can add that categorization to the evaluation, and then have other questions like, was the agent confident or in control or and confident, and let the AI decide for that. So that's I think, an awesome capability that the evaluation provides. You can combine both questions in one evaluation and get the answer. And there are other things that you can categorize, and then you will still have the Ask AI option in the evaluation to say, you know what? I don't want to go through the whole call, but I just don't think this was missed. Can you tell me? And you can just, on that evaluation, say, Ask AI, and it will tell you, yes, I think this categorization was incorrect. I noticed that the agent said this, and this is the part that I think I got this wrong, which is amazing.
And there's something else worth adding on that is a true benefit in terms of saving time and scalability. You can create these evaluations and you can configure them to run on every single interaction. Every single call that comes through from every single agent can be weighed against this evaluation that you create and customize in any way that you see fit. That way, at a glance, you can get an overview of who is meeting, who is exceeding expectations, and who is needing some additional help. Phenomenal shift in terms of what we were doing versus what this capability has given us.
And it can be added when you have a new product launch, or when you have something that you're recently seeing and you're wondering, are agents having conversation about this? You can create that evaluation and categorize it and see the results right away, which is amazing, and get a report on it, actually.
Thank you. So just to finish this out, if you remember, the agent did not greet the customer, so we're going to open up the agent schedule and see if we can't set a meeting with the agent to discuss this particular compliance issue. So we opened up what is our forecasting and scheduling tool. We set a meeting with the agent during their work hours, and now we can have that conversation with them and fix that behavior going forward. Obviously, we can see all their other availability throughout the day. So that concludes our demonstration. This hopefully demonstrates the power of Amazon Connect. And again, thank you to our, sure, you want to say?
If I may add something
please.
on the, this is, I think, a new feature, or at least I recently found out about it. You can see agents' adaptability on that workforce management daily as well, which is great. Like, you can see which agents are being, what do you call it, adherent to their work schedule, or which agents aren't, which is another great feature that recently got added to my benefit.
I don't remember when, but thank you for calling that out.
Of course.
Okay, that concludes our panel today. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have 5 minutes. Are there any questions people would like to say out loud? Otherwise, we can certainly sit in the back and take some questions after that.
Great.
One question. I'm just going to repeat the question, see if I got it right. So are you saying, with the evaluation forms, can you add additional questions, but what about those additional questions?
So that an auditor can go in and verify what the process portion of it, something that the AI software is able to audit. So AI software is auditing the software and the sentiment, but a process-specific piece. So
maybe an example, it would help,
my contact center, they have to check the correct application or the CRM, or provide accurate information based on the plan specific. Right? So even to state specific. If the agent is saying this is your allowance for this state, but they're referencing an incorrect state, our auditors can
Okay.
in that same audit, but use the audit for the rest of or use that same evaluation and have the AI provide the report or the details on this hospital.
Yes, yes. So you can decide which questions you want AI to sort of answer, and you can have other questions which supervisors or even auditors can continue to monitor for their own purposes. So you can decide which questions. In fact, there may even be a certain number of questions where you can say, these are AI answered and these are non-AI answered.
And combine have it still be one evaluation.
Yes.
Correct. One evaluation form. That's right. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, oh, no, one more. I'm going to let you guys answer that.
So who maintains the workflows? Within our group, right now, we have designated specific champions who can kind of spearhead that. But realistically, anyone who you decide to give access to can go in and create new, edit existing, or otherwise manage and manipulate what you're working on. So it's very flexible. It really depends on what your model is and how you want to engage with it.
You can assign roles, supervisors or team leads or managers can create evaluations, but these people can submit evaluations. These people can work on the workforce management and create schedules. Those people can, others can just approve PTOs and do other things. So it's flexible to my understanding and my needs. I hope that answers the question.
One more question? Yes, sir. Okay, so the question was, how long did it take to implement some of these capabilities, and how big was the team? Again, a great question for you guys, having just started with Amazon Connect recently.
Yeah, I think I skipped over that bit earlier. My apologies. So we have about 600 users on AWS, and about half of them are currently in a role where they are end user facing. So a pretty sizable group. In terms of implementation, there was definitely a lot of conversations beforehand to figure out what we wanted to do. Again, like Zara was saying, we tried to be very intentional in terms of how we were deploying this. But our group was in, 8-10 weeks of conversations, and then the actual implementation was, it's the flip of a switch. It did not take much time at all once we decided exactly how we wanted to do it and how we were going to leverage it.
Yeah, as soon as you know exactly what you're looking into and what is the end goal and how you want this to be implemented, you can get started. And like evaluation forms, we had our evaluation forms, so they were kind of ready. It took me 2 days to create the evaluation forms and say, okay, let me see if it's gonna work. And then yes, maintaining it, making sure, like to my experience, it's actually nice to have different forms of evaluation rather than just one evaluation, because you can have a fair evaluation for agents. These agents are stronger in this part of this aspect or these aspects, and others are stronger in other aspects, right? This is effective coaching, for example. So it depends, like every other meeting that I attended in this CCW event, it's very important to know what do you want? Where are you standing? Where do you want to be? And then getting there with all these new technologies is not that difficult, and it's not that time consuming. But intentionally taking your steps is the key.
Awesome. I think we're at time, so thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your CCW. Thank you all.